The High Noon Stream. I am Pugs Moran, and I make no apologies for my tardiness. Do you hear me? Look at these? Look at this face. Look at this. Look at this. No. I am a mess. I am a mess, but we'll get through it. I promise you. Allergies. I don't know what happened. It's like yesterday afternoon. They just walloped me. And the ankle. Don't even get me started on the ankle. We talked about the ankle on Monday. It was swollen. The swelling went down. The swelling went down yesterday, right? So I was feeling pretty good about it. So I started doing stuff. I went around. I did a whole bunch of stuff yesterday. And by like 5 o'clock in the evening yesterday, not only were the allergies knocking at the door, but hey, you know how it was 95 on Monday and then tomorrow it's going to be 50? Yeah. Let us in. So the allergies came in just as the ankle was going, hey, I wasn't ready to be walked on yet. And it was going, so I apologize. Last night's Pillow Talk show, the second stream that we do. We do this one. High Noon. We do this Monday through Friday at noon. Covers all the news, the hot topics, the trends, current events, whatever it is that people are talking about, we'll run through it. But then we do Pugs and Parker at 9 o'clock Central Standard Time. Pugs and Parker's more conversational, and we do interviews and all that kind of stuff. We didn't do Pugs and Parker last night because of all of that stuff that I just told you about. And man, I woke up this morning, I'm all congested. You can hear it, right? I know I always sound a little bit like that, but oh boy. But I'll tell you, that's not going to stop me from doing this show here because we've got some really cool, interesting stuff to get into. This is one of them days. And I'm not going to miss tonight's Pugs and Parker. Tonight's Pugs and Parker is going to be, for those of us, okay. Excuse me. That's going to happen from time to time today. Excuse me. So tonight's Pugs and Parker, we've got something special. Although not special if you've been listening the last couple of weeks, because we've been basically doing interviews with people concerning the podcast that we're creating called Who Killed Live 105.3, which was a radio station that we all worked at here in Dallas. That was incredibly successful, and they just boarded it up for some reason. So it's going to be a podcast about that. And really all it is an excuse to reconnect with a whole bunch of people, and we're all having fun. So on the 9 o'clock stream, Pugs and Parker, we've been interviewing people. Old friends from 105.3. And I got a good get for tonight. We got a good get. Now, this is not a name that you might know, but this is the origin story. The origin story of Live 105.3 in Dallas will be told today. From the pitch in some New York City boardroom to you get what I'm saying, choosing the market. We choose Dallas. Just all of that. We're going to hear all of that tonight. So if you're interested in the nuts and bolts of how the sausage was made when the sausage is Live 105.3, then join us tonight, 9 p.m. Central Standard. Original general manager, station boss from Ground Zero, Reed Reeker, radio titan, Reed Reeker, joins us tonight, 9 o'clock on Pugs and Parker. So we're very excited about that. Hold on, let me get it. Hold on. Also received a confirmation from original Live 105.3. We shouldn't call it Live 105.3. Because it was other things too. Like it was the Talk That Rocks. Talk That Rocks just rebranded as Live 105.3, but it was the same station. Original Talk That Rocks, Live 105.3 program director Bob McNeil has committed. I think we're going to try and get him on Monday. So we're getting the big people. We had the hosts and all that, but we're getting the people who can really give us here's what happened. All right, so that's tonight at 9 o'clock. Reed Reeker joins us to talk Live 105.3. What else do I need to do? Is there anything else I need to mention? I don't think so. I think we're good. So let's get started with the show. What is the High Noon Show? Well, it's something that I do every Monday through Friday, right here at noon-ish. Yeah, okay. All right, you got me. Noon-ish. We go through all the day's headlines. If it's a trending topic, if it's something that people are buzzing about, I try and tell you about it. I say, hey, have you heard people talking about this? Here's why they're talking about it. Here's what I think, and then we move on. And we invite you to join in the chat room and mix it up with people and, comment on all the day's news and all of that good stuff. Here's a dog. What do you got, fleas? This is like the weirdest house right now. I got an ankle going on. I got allergies. Hi, baby. Yeah, it's the dog. That's CeeLo. She's scratching very loud right next to me. Headlines, hot topics, all that stuff. But before we get into that, what I like to do on the show is to sort of go back in time and figure out exactly what this day has represented throughout history. We go through the events that occurred previously on this particular day. And then we go through the birthdays. We talk about the people who were born on this day. And then we do the deaths too. Significant people passed. A dog? Seriously. Okay, now she's just going to chew on her toes for a while. That's what she's doing now. She chews on her toes, her toenails. She chews them down. All right, so without further ado, what do you say we get started with this? It is high noon for the 5th day of April, year of our Lord, 2023. April 5th, it's the 95th day of the year, 95 days in, 5 days from 100. I don't know what we're going to do, but we should celebrate. It's the 95th day of the year. There are 270 of these remaining until the end of the year. Let's go with on this day in 1614. This is going to be the first clip we see in previously on April the 5th. April the 5th, 1614. In Virginia, Native American Pocahontas marries English colonist John Rolfe. Is that who she's famous? Is this like part of her famous story? I don't know. The name John Rolfe doesn't sound familiar to me. I really don't know much about Pocahontas. Like, if I'm being honest, I get Pocahontas and Sacagawea confused. Right? One of them was with like the Mayflower people. And the other one was Lewis and Clark, right? Isn't that how that worked? I don't know. Anyway, on this day in 1621, the Mayflower set sail for Plymouth, On this day in 1621, the Mayflower set sail from Plymouth, Massachusetts, on a return trip to England. Was that always the plan? Like, was it like, here's what I'm asking. Are we the remnants of the Left Behind? Like, did they get here and be like, hey, it's great. And then they were like, yeah, it's not so great. And who wants to go back? And everybody's like, yeah, we want to go back. And then the nerds and stuff were left behind. And that's what, I don't know. You don't hear many stories about the Mayflower making return trips. And I saw that. And how were boats built back then? Like, could they, that seems like it's a pretty brutal trip, right? Like, the Mayflower wasn't a battleship or a naval ship or, it was just a ship, right? I mean, I don't know. I guess I assumed that the Mayflower never made it back and it's like in a museum somewhere, but apparently it's not. Born on this day in history, previously on this day, in 1922, the American Birth Control League is formed. The American Birth Control League. That would be the forerunner to Planned Parenthood. So even back in 1922, at least some people were being honest about sex. And what I mean by that is, if the expectation by whether it be faith and religious groups or, moral scoreboarders, I don't know, whatever it is. If the idea is that sex is only to produce children, if everything short of that is a sin, sex, every time you have sex, your intent is to produce a child. If that's what's expected, then we're all a bunch of hypocrites, because that is, nobody just has sex to have kids. Weird people do. I know weird people do. Like if your neighbors had like 10 kids, and they were like 22, and you get to know them a little bit, and they're like, yeah, we only have sex to have kids. They would be your weird neighbors. Kind of people who take family pictures where they're all dressed in white. Oh, that's so weird. Have you seen that? White pants, white shirt, white pants, white shirt, white pants, white shirt, white pants, white shirt. So original. Also, weirdly creepy. Like you're in some kind of a cult or something. Like it's some kind of I don't know. Anyway, the Birth Control League formed. It was the forerunner of Planned Parenthood. And even back then, my point is, there were at least some people going, sometimes people just bang because it feels good, and we should talk about that, and we should plan for the future with that. In 1933, on this day, U.S. President Franklin Delano Roosevelt signs two executive orders. Easy for you to say. Two executive orders. 6101 to establish the Civilian Conservation Corps. And 6102 forbidding the hoarding of gold. I've got gold. Look at all my gold. Yeah, he stopped that shit. FDR was the man. FDR was awesome. Let's see here. 1951, during the Cold War, Ethel and Julius Rosenberg are sentenced to death for spying for the Soviet Union. We talked about them. I think one of these two had a birthday or something, or maybe it was recently the anniversary of when they were executed. Yeah, I think that's what it was. So this is an interesting couple. They're married, Julius and Ethel Rosenberg. They worked for the military, civilian like contractor type deals. Although I think Julius was like in the Signal Corps, and I don't know what it was. Anyway, intelligence gathering and all that kind of stuff. And it'd been there for years. And as it turns out, they were accused of spying for the Soviet Union. They had handlers. They were a part of this really complex network, and they were busted. Now, when they were busted, there was a whole lot for years and years. People thought that, well, maybe they weren't really guilty. This was the Cold War. The Red Scare was, everybody was a communist, and Jews weren't really well liked anyway. So there was a lot of that. There was a lot of people that thought that maybe they were being targeted because they were Jews, and that wasn't true. They did it. They totally did it. Julius and Ethel Rosenberg totally did it. I mean, I guess a couple of years ago, like 10, 15 years ago, it was the mark where you could unveil, shit like this has got to be kept secret. This is why we convicted him. It's got to be kept secret for 50 years. And then it's unveiled. And you see what they had. You see the evidence. You're like, yeah, they did it. I mean, they put a whole bunch of other people in jail who were accomplices. They even caught their handler, their Soviet handler, and made him talk. So any idea that they were just victims of anti-Semitism, although could be understood given the time, just not founded. They were, in fact, they were Jewish, and they were also spies, though. People are complicated. I don't know. But they weren't killed because they were Jews. They were killed because the spy thing. That's why they were executed. They were spying during the Cold War. Hey, dog, do you want to, choose a position? Do you want to... My dog knows like 5 words when I speak to her in complete sentences. I should say the house dog. She's just like the area dog. Okay, you good there? You gonna stay there? Is that good? Okay. Oh, my goodness. Let's see here. On this day in 2010, 29 coal miners are killed in an explosion at the Upper Big Branch mine in West Virginia. Coal mining. Jesus, do you remember a bunch of years ago when people were like, let's bring that back? Like the only people saying that were the people who had only ever done that and didn't know that there were other jobs. You had people in Nebraska. You had dudes working in offices going, yeah, let's bring the coal mines back. First of all, if we bring the coal mines back, and I'm not saying we shouldn't, I'm just saying if we did, we can't be sticking people in there anymore. Okay, so the jobs aren't coming back anyway. And we got to do it with little robots. We got all that stuff now. We can gut a mountain in like half the time it used to take. Coal mining jobs. But that's like what I couldn't believe when I started to see that. Like in 2016. You want to bring what back? You want to bring like the worst possible form? Ain't nobody want to be a coal miner. Who wants to be a coal miner? People who that's all they know. And that's understandable. The hill folk of Appalachia and whatnot. That's all they know. They think that's the economy. They don't, And to them, it's awful, but everything about their lives are awful. Did you remember a couple of days ago when we watched that story, the Whitaker family of West Virginia? They're like America's most inbred family. They're coal miners. I did a big deep dive on them over the weekend. I learned all kinds of things. Those are the people that are like, ain't nothing wrong with coal mining. Remember they barked? Like they barked. They were half animal, half... I'm going to coal mine. Man, bringing back the coal mine jobs. And this is a perfect example. The 29 coal miners killed. Oh well, they just Po people. They just a bunch of Po white trash. Coal mining jobs, man, that's some shit. All right, let's do some birthdays. Some people born on this day. Booker T. Washington, born on this day. Booker T. Washington. I never learned a damn thing about Booker T. Washington, but I was educated in American public schools in the 1980s. And I went to a pretty white suburban school. We had one black kid in the entire school. So I never learned about no Booker T. Washington. I had to do that on my own. And as I come to learn, Booker T. Washington, he's basically like the first, because we're going back, when this is his birthday. He was born in 1856. So we're talking about the late 1800s, early 1900s. He was incredibly influential. He was a leader of Black America before, probably the first true leader of Black America. To the level where he advised multiple presidents. This was a gentleman black man in an era when the other black people really had it difficult. And that's what he's remembered for. He's remembered for being the first of the but middle-aged white guy. Shouldn't be talking about. Happy birthday, Booker T. Washington, man. I really should read a book. Probably read a book. But I know that I know why you're important. I know how difficult it must have been for you to do the stuff that you did when you did it. So, mad respect. But I shouldn't be waxing poetic about Booker T. Washington. The fuck do I know? I don't want to hear Roy Jones Jr. tell me about the Irish Revolution. Okay? I don't think I should be, lecturing on Booker T. Washington. On this day, born in 1900, Spencer Tracy! Spencer Tracy. Hollywood legend, icon, one of my favorite actors of all time. Seriously, Spencer, of the old-timey movie actor guys, I got three. I got Jimmy Stewart, I got Spencer Tracy, I got Cary Grant. Those are them. I like them. John Wayne. Come on, man. That dude, he played the same character in every movie. What was the one where he was the one in Ireland? I thought that one was good. With Maureen O'Hara. I had to watch that a bunch of times with my grandma growing up. Okay, so Spencer Tracy. We're doing a Spencer Tracy draft because he's an old-timey actor. He's a goddamn icon. He's one of the greats. So here we go. Spencer Tracy draft. How do the drafts work? Well, we're doing like an NFL draft. So the first one is the best, and then we do 5, and then maybe some free agents we invite. All right, the first pick in the Spencer Tracy draft, we're going with 1967's Guess Who's Coming to Dinner? Guess Who's Coming to Dinner is such a great movie. Oh my God, it's so good. I've seen that movie probably 10 times. Everybody in it is so good. And I don't know who plays, there's 4 main people. Oh, and Wheezy Jefferson. Wheezy Jefferson's in it, too. Wheezy Jefferson plays their maid. She's awesome. She's so funny in this. Anyway, there's the 4 main characters. Spencer Tracy, Katharine Hepburn, and Sidney Poitier, right? Those are the 4. And then there's the daughter. And I don't know who the daughter is. But, man, she's hot. She's really cute. She's like 1960s. I'm 22 years old in 1967. Kind of cute. That level of cute. I don't even know who she was. I don't know. Maybe she's somebody. I don't think she is, though. All right. First pick. Guess Who's Coming to Dinner? Second pick in the Spencer Tracy draft. We are going with Inherit the Wind. Inherit the Wind, the Scopes Monkey trial. You ever seen that? Oh, it's so good. It's so good. Number three in the Spencer Tracy draft. We're going with Judgment at Nuremberg. Heavy movie. About the trial of the Nazis. About... when they put after World War II, when the Hague put all the Nazis on trial in Nuremberg. Oh boy, that was a good one. That's a heavy one though, and that's a long one, man. But historically, if you like history, it really, it's so good. Judgment at Nuremberg. If you've never seen it, it's one of the great. Number 4 in the Spencer Tracy draft, I'm going with It's a Mad World. Spencer Tracy was the glue of that movie. He was the inspector who was chasing all these crazy people. That's such a fun movie. It's a mad. All right, number 5 in the Spencer Tracy draft, we're gonna go with Father of the Bride. Father of the Bride. Come on. truth be told, I've never seen it. I'm just putting it in there because I know that it's a classic, and I know that every girl I've ever dated loves Father of the Bride. Which one do you like? Do you like the one with Steve Martin? I like them all. Oh, okay. Father of the Bride. Oh, and you know what? It's Spencer Tracy. He's got 200 films almost, starting in like 1930. So as far as undrafted free agents go, here's what we're doing. Any Spencer Tracy movie where he worked with Katharine Hepburn, you get invited to camp. All right, Boys Town. I'll give you Boys Town as well. Boys Town. There you go. Spencer Tracy draft. Spencer Tracy, born on this day in 1900. Born on this day in 1908, Betty Davis. Betty Davis draft. No, we're not going to do a Betty Davis draft. We just did a Spencer Tracy draft. I can't. The unfortunate reality is that she just came too close to Spencer Tracy. Can't do 2 drafts in a row. So, Betty Davis definitely deserves it. Although, quite frankly, I couldn't do a good Betty Davis draft because I don't know many Betty Davis movies. I know the one where she played with the makeup. I'm pretty. You know that one? I know that one. Is that Whatever Happened to Baby Jane? I know that one. That's good. That's good. Yeah. Happy birthday, Betty Davis. Born on this day in 1960. Gregory Peck. Oh, my God. It's like Hollywood royalty day here. I'm not doing a Gregory Peck draft anyway. Born on this day in 1937. Colin Powell. That's right. Colin Powell. American general, politician, 65th United States Secretary of State. I wonder, there was a point in time where Colin Powell could have ran for president. He had that kind of heat on him. He had that kind of, he was a legitimate idea that, and it was in that time when the narrative in the country, if you, this again now, it's going back to, let's say, 2004 or whatever. The narrative in the country, no, it wouldn't have been 2004. It would have been 2008. Would have been, yeah. Okay, so this makes sense with the comparison I'm going to make. All right, so Colin Powell was going to run. And, they wanted him to run. And it's like, he'll be the first black president, and it'll be totally acceptable because he's a military man and a conservative Republican. You know what I mean? It was like that kind of a thing, which is interesting. Interesting. I would think that that could work. That could totally work. So, and then what was the other thing? Colin Powell. Oh, Ibn Frade. Yeah, he thought that Colin Powell at the time said the time isn't right for a black man to be elected president. One day, but the time isn't right. So he was this all-American military hero, general, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Secretary of State, conservative Republican, black guy. So obviously all the black people voted for him. Black guy. Why couldn't he be president? All of those things were so great. And then the Dems ran a community organizer with a name that sounded like he was a member of Al-Qaeda. And that guy won! So I would say the narrative surrounding, what it would have taken for a black man to be elected president was completely blown up when Obama got around. I remember the first time I heard that name. I remember hearing it when he was a senator in Illinois. But I remember the first time I heard that name associated with the presidential campaign, and I thought to myself, no American's ever going to vote for a guy with a name like that. What is this guy, nuts? First of all, he's a black guy. And if Colin Powell knew that he couldn't win, what is this Obama guy? And, we don't know nothing, is my point. We don't know nothing. Experts will try and tell you, we don't know anything. The American people would never vote for a black man, unless maybe he was a conservative Republican with military credentials. Well, that narrative was bullshit because, Colin Powell. So my question on Colin Powell is, I wonder if did he see Obama get elected and go, fuck, I so could have done that. I so could, like in 2008, instead of it being Obama and Romney, what if it was Obama and Powell? Who wins that? So that's what I'm wondering if Colin Powell ever wondered. But Colin Powell, happy birthday. He's dead now, but still, this day in 1937. Born on this day in 1951, Dean Kamen, American inventor and businessman. Do you remember Dean Kamen? Is he still alive? Yeah, probably. So Dean Kamen is an inventor. And he made a lot of money off a bunch of stuff that we don't really know. Not really stuff that's in our everyday life. And then about 25 years ago, because I remember it was one of the first topics that Kelly and I, my former partner with the Pugs and Kelly show, back when we were in Chicago, it was a topic that we were really into. Because all of a sudden, we started seeing all these news stories over the course of about 6 months to maybe even a year. All of these stories about this guy we'd never heard of, Dean Kamen. This brilliant inventor called the Edison of our time. Einstein for the new millennium. He was being called all of these things. And so our interest is piqued because we've never heard of this guy. So when that happens, typically what that means is some guy with a lot of money has started a publicity campaign. He paid a PR agency to get stories about him placed in newspapers. And if you pay a lot, you can appear in every newspaper for a year. I mean, it's just, it's how that business works. So he obviously did this. And then you look into his background and he has, he's got a lot of money because he invented some medical devices and all that stuff, shit that not necessarily anything you talk about around your kitchen table, but certainly stuff that has made him a wealthy man. So I believe that around 25 years ago, he paid a PR company to make him famous. And he was made famous because he had an invention that he was going to unveil. Dean Kamen was going to change the world with this new invention. Oh, and the buildup was crazy. The buildup was insane, man. Kelly and I had these long conversations on the air about what could it be? What could it be? Did he invent time travel? I mean, is that what he's saying? He's saying that all of this went on for a year, and it turned out to be the freaking Segway. The Segway. That's what it was. Something that 20 years later, we still don't know what the fuck to do with. Seriously, the Segway was for almost a year before it was unveiled. This mystery invention by the brilliant Dean Kamen that was going to change the way every single one of us live our everyday life. It's going to improve life, and it's going to save the planet. We thought, wow, what is this? What is this? It's a Segway! It's a Segway! Dean Kamen. 25 years, I've been on a Segway once. And I was like, I don't like this. Don't like how this feels. Don't like what's going on here. Why am I going this way? This feels wholly unnatural. Segway once in like 20 years. And that's not to say that I haven't been offered. Hard pass. You want to try the Segway? It's really fun. You want to try it? Pass. No, thank you. No, I don't want to try your Segway. And maybe a lot of it has to do with me being disappointed that the Segway didn't actually turn out to be a time machine. That's what I was banking on. I thought Dean Kamen had somehow, I don't know. Dean Kamen, born on this date in 1951. Didn't think I'd have an obscure inventor rant, did you? I do. I got a lot of weird shit inside me, just aching to come out. On this day in 1956, Diamond Dallas Page is born. Wrestling, Diamond Dallas Page, born on this day in 1956. Born on this day in 1962, Lana Clarkson, American actress and model. You guys know who Lana Clarkson is? Lana Clarkson is the woman, the actress that Phil Spector picked up at the House of Blues where she was working. She went home with him to his Crazy Man Castle in the middle of Crazy Man Hills, L.A. And he killed her. You remember? Okay, so she was a hostess at, let's break this down, right? Let's walk through this. Because this is first of all, I watched recently a big documentary on this whole situation. I'm not sure where it was. Maybe HBO Max. I'm not sure. Anyway, what a lovely woman. I mean, Lana Clarkson just seemed like the sweetest, kindest bombshell. And she was a bombshell. She was like 6'1", 6'2", and just gorgeous. She just seemed like an absolutely wonderful, wonderful woman. So, but here's what happened. Phil Spector goes to the House of Blues. She's working at the House of Blues. She's the gatekeeper of the VIP entrance. She's a struggling actress. She's been grinding it out for 10 years. So she took this job working the VIP room, granting access to people at the House of Blues, the foundation room, the fancy room. She took this job because she knew that it would have her rubbing shoulders with important and fancy people. And on this particular night, she met super producer Phil Spector. She went home with Phil Spector. She got in his car. She went home. He picked her up. The bar closed. She's like, I'm getting off. And he's like, why don't you come back to my place, my weird castle in the weird hills? And she was like, okay. And she got in the car. She went with him. These are all facts. I mean, so what? She was going to have sex with Phil Spector? So what? That's not crime. She doesn't deserve to die for that. But here's what I think. I think she got into Weird Guy Castle in, Weird Guy Hills. It's not even in LA. It's like a big giant castle in like a normal neighborhood. It's in Alhambra where Phil Spector's big castle was. So that's weird. That's like, anyway. I think she got to Weird Guy Castle and Weird Guy Hills, and she was like, okay, this is Weird Guy. This is too crazy. And she probably was like, I want to go home. And he was like, but we just got here. I have no idea what Phil Spector sounds like. But we just got here. It turned into that whole thing. And then he pulled out his gun because Phil Spector always pulled out his gun. That was the problem with this trial. Has Phil Spector ever threatened anyone with a gun before? Your Honor, we got a busload of people outside. We can bring them in single file or two at a time. It's up to you. They've all been threatened with a pistol at one time by Mr. Spector. He was in trouble for that. So there they are in the foyer of his weird castle in Weird Guy, Los Angeles. And she's like, I want to go home now. I don't want to. And he's like, but you just got here and we were going to have sex. And she's like, I don't want to do that. This is all too freaky. And he said, and he pulled out his gun and it went off and she's dead. Lana Clarkson, crazy story. Phil Spector, fuck that guy. Happy birthday to you, Lana Clarkson. You seemed like an absolutely lovely woman. Just out there grinding, man, grinding. She's just she should be the poster girl for, the Hollywood that never give up until you have no choice because you've been killed by a weird guy super producer in his weird guy castle. I mean, she really tried. She did some things. Like she was in Fast Times at Ridgemont High. She had a small role there. She was the weird teacher's hot wife. Remember when it was revealed at the dance in Fast Times at Ridgemont High? The weird science teacher? And he's like, this is my wife. And she's like, smoke show hot. And everybody's like, how the hell did weird guy science teacher get a hot? That was her. And she then, if you stayed up late at night and watched a lot of Skinamax movies, she was in a bunch of those in the 80s and, ski patrols and all those kind of things. Never a big star. By the time she met Phil Spector, she was aging, 40. So she's trying to reinvent herself and this fucking crazy man killed her. Weird guy. God, that guy sucks. You ask Ronnie Spector about weird guy Phil Spector. She was married to him. Ay. All right, Lana Clarkson. Mike McCready was born on this day in 1966. Mike McCready, guitar player for Pearl Jam. Born on this day in 1973, Pharrell Williams. I don't know who he is. I know his name. I know he's very famous, but I don't know, what does he do? He's the happy guy, right? Because I'm happy. He's the big hat guy. He's the big hat guy. That's who he is. Thank you. Figured it out in real time. Pharrell Williams, the big hat guy. Who's happy? That guy. Born on this day in 1989, happy birthday to the lovely Lily James, an English actress who got her start on Downton Abbey, a show that I wouldn't go near with a 10-foot pole. Should I? I don't know. It just seems so not me. But I love The Crown. See? It's weird. I'm like a contradiction. I don't get it. And I love Peaky Blinders, so it's not like I don't like British things. For some reason. I don't know why. You know what I do? I think it has a big thing to do with me not giving Downton Abbey a chance. It was a PBS show. That's exactly what it is. Somewhere in my mind, if something is a PBS show, I go into it thinking, all right, it's like the vegetables of television. The PBS is like, they eat your PBS. It's like, oh God. So I think that's why I never gave it a chance. But Downton Abbey might be very good. My mom, who's a very good judge of what's good on television, she likes it. But again, she's a woman. So, there is, no matter how much I admire her tastes and things, there is that disconnect where it comes to what a woman might like and what a guy might like. But anyway, Lily James, how do I know her? Because she played Pam in that Hulu Pam and Tommy Lee doc. She played Pam Anderson. Oh, and if you remember at the time, my comment was, it's the rare occasion where somebody is asked to portray a high-profile celebrity, a Hollywood celebrity bombshell, Whether it's people who have to portray Marilyn Monroe or people that have to portray Audrey Hepburn or whatever it is. In this case, it's Pam Anderson. Whoever, when they make the Farrah Fawcett movie, all right, whoever they cast to play Farrah Fawcett is going to be looked at as, is she prettier than Farrah Fawcett? She's not actually prettier than the woman she's playing. It is the rare occasion where you look at them and you go, oh my God, she's so much hotter. Lily James as Pam Anderson was so much hotter than Pam Anderson as Pam Anderson. And Pam Anderson as Pam Anderson was pretty damn hot. So to go from Downton Abbey to, being able to effectively pull off Pam Anderson and have me going, I like this Pam Anderson better, that's incredible range. Lily James, happy birthday to you. Born today, 1989. How about some people who died? These are the people who've died. These are the people who've died. On this day in 1976, the world lost Howard Hughes. That's another weird guy. Howard Hughes is who Elon Musk is going to become. This is who it is. Howard Hughes was the Elon Musk of his day. Weird, man. He had so much power and so much money, he could do whatever he wanted for so long that it poisoned his mind, and by the time Howard Hughes died, he was a babbling idiot. That's where Elon Musk is going. I'm telling you, Elon Musk is a young man still. At this point in Howard Hughes' career, he was still banging Hollywood starlets and, partying all night long. So don't think like, well, Elon seems fine. No, you're seeing the slow creep into Howard Hughes type territory. You're seeing it. Remember I said it, Well, probably. Here's what sucks about Elon Musk. Elon Musk is like a year younger than me. So I'm not going to get to see Elon Musk be really old. Because I'm going to be I'll probably, by numbers, if I'm older than him, I should die before him, right? Besides, he's never going to die, right? That's really what he's working on late at night. He's working on a way to be that brain in a glass jar. I think that's probably what Elon's working on. All right, Howard Hughes died on this day in 1976. Dead on this day in 1991, Senator John Tower, Senator Georgia, I think it was Georgia. Senator John Tower, he's a very powerful senator back in 1991. His plane went down, dead, boom, senator gone. Dead on this day in 1992, Sam Walton, founder of Walmart, Sam Walton, the Bezos of his Dazos. He was basically, he was what Jeff Bezos is today in 1980. or whatever. I mean, that's when Walmart really exploded, was in the 80s. Because I remember, I remember being aware of a Walmart. I remember being aware that Walmart was a thing. But in my mind, it was a thing that people went to when they were traveling through Arkansas or Missouri, or something like that. We didn't have Walmarts in the Chicago area, probably until the late 80s. Yeah, there you go. Happy Death Day, Sam Walton. Your family now owns the Denver Broncos. How cool is that? Dead on this day in 1994, Kurt Cobain. There's a big one. There's a big one coming up. This was a big one. This is a big one for me. And when I say a big one for me, I don't mean a big one for me like... Wait, what? Kurt Cobain is dead. It wasn't like that. It was like, what the fuck, man? It was more confounding. It was more like, man, that dude was awesome. Okay, I shouldn't say that. I don't know that he was awesome. He might have been a real prick and a pain in the ass, but man, artistically, that dude was doing some stuff. Like, he was like talking about things and he was like moving in directions that like you really wanted to see. I really wanted to hear a Kurt Cobain album in 2005. You know what I mean? What would that have been? You know what? Kurt could probably have gone solo at that point for a number of years. I don't know. That was a big, that's an incredibly big benchmark in the historical experience of Generation X, to be sure. The death of Kurt Cobain was the end of it all for us. It was the end. It was when, he was the king of the slackers. And if he gave up, what is there for us? That was a big day. On this day in 1994, Kurt Cobain, man, on up still. You know, it's a big one when you know exactly where you were. And I not only know exactly, I know specifically where I was. I was at the corner of 79th Street and Western in Chicago, on the south side of Chicago, heading west. And it was as I was crossing through the intersection that I was listening to WXRT, the radio station in Chicago. And a song ended, and there was like 5 seconds of silence, which always catches your attention. And then I believe it was Marty Lennartz, who was the XRT host. I think it was Marty Lennartz. Anyway, he came in and he said that we have some terrible news coming out of Seattle, Washington. Apparently, Kurt Cobain. No, it started out with the confirmation. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, I remember exactly where I was. I was driving my blue Cavalier. And I was going through that intersection at 79th and Western and listening to XRT, and the song, and have no idea what song it was that ended. That's interesting. No recollection. But everything after he said, Kurt Cobain dead at the age of, I don't know, whatever he was, 28. Kurt Cobain dead at the age of 28. Everything after that, vivid. Like, I remember everything. It's weird. One of those moments, one of those absolute benchmarks for the evolution and the growth and the maturity of Generation X. Dead on this day in 2014, John Pinette. Sweet man. Interviewed John Pinette a number of times. All the big heavy comedians, they die young. Yeah, whether you're John Candy, Chris Farley, you're John Pinette. Louis Anderson died young. Louis Anderson got a nice run, but Louis Anderson could have lived another 25, 30 years. Louis Anderson wasn't, Louis Anderson died young. Ralphie May. Oh, God. Poor Ralphie. Yeah, so John Pinette. Remember him? John Pinette was the guy who did that. I can't go to Chinese buffet no more. Remember his whole bit was that he did Chinese and people went, that's funny. Big fat white guy doing Chinese voice. Can't do that act anymore, John. Although maybe in heaven, who knows? There you go. Those are the deaths. Those are all the people who have died on this day. All right, so do we feel like we've got a nice handle on what this day has been? Previously, on April the 5th. We good with this stuff? Okay, so you want to move into some of the topics? All right, let's do that. Why don't we? First, let me jump into the chat room, say hi to some people. Hi, Jeff. Hi, Barney. Hi, Frank. Hi, Frank. Hi, Jeff. Hi, Al. Hold on, let's keep going through. I don't want to leave anybody out. Bye. Hello, Byron. April's here. Wow, we're short on ladies. Goat's hanging out. Whitney's here, as always. So nice to see Rainy Days is here. Taronda is here. All right. What are you guys talking about? You guys taking a... Frank says, thank you for sharing the Kurt Cobain story, Pugs. You're welcome, Frank. That's what I'm here for. I'm here to... I don't know. Barney says that Elon Musk is probably going to hide from the world in an orbital station. Yeah. Well, if you can't get the brain in the jar technology worked out. Yeah, absolutely. I could totally see that happening. One of those kinds of deals. All right, let's get into the topics of today. The big topic that is trending right now at this very moment, tornadoes, teenagers. Oh, man, they are all over the place. How many places are under tornado watch at this very moment? I think Chicago is. I don't know, man. There's some bad stuff happening. Tornado, Missouri got crushed last night. What is going on? Is this normal? I don't know. It seems like there's been an inordinate amount of tornadoes over the last couple of weeks, but it's spring, And, I don't know. This is... Maybe my memory doesn't serve me in this, but it seems like there's a lot of bad tornadoes the last couple of weeks. Nearly a dozen tornadoes reported Tuesday as massive hailstones pummeled parts of the Midwest. All modes of severe weather could continue throughout Wednesday as storms march east. Does the fact that it's so cold here now, after being like in the high 80s and mid 90s for 3 or 4 days or whatever it was, does the fact that it's so cold now, is that why? Is that part of what's going on with these tornadoes? Why they're forming like just north of us because we're cold air? But I don't know, probably. But I thought it was the hot air that came from, I don't know. Or maybe we're experiencing cold air from That's what it's got. Stop, I'm trying to be him. All right, let's see here. Let's see here. Highway shut down due to... Oh, and there's blizzards? We got blizzards in South Dakota? They're shutting down highways in South Dakota because there's blizzards going on. Is that normal? I don't know. I have no idea. A whale's mouth moves over Chicago and Lake Michigan. Well, that's pretty cool. I have no idea what that is, but that's worth looking at. All right, we'll look at that. Bear with me. We're going to look at a cool piece of video of something, a weather front called a whale's mouth. All right. Of course, now I can't find it. So anyway, there's a lot of video here. There's a lot of crazy video. There we go. Okay. Never heard this meteorological term before. Whale's mouth. Watch this. Watch this thing. All right, so that's Chicago, and the big open spot, that's the lake. What the hell is that? Look at that. That is pretty cool, though. That's a cool look. All right, let's see what else. We got any other? There's all kinds of like crazy tornado videos. So all right, let's see what this is. Okay. Where is this? Pleasantville, Iowa. Jeff Ballard, buckle up. What? We got to watch a commercial? 26 seconds worth of commercial. Yeah. Fair is fair. If we want to be dazzled by the sights of Mother Nature's fury, we're going to have to put up with 26 seconds of I don't even know what this is. Clotheslines? What are they selling? They sell clothing at this store? I have no idea. It's a store for, I don't know. All right, check this out. This is Pleasantville, Iowa. That doesn't even look real. That doesn't even look real. That looks like something that looks like CGI from Twister. There should be a cow flying through the road. All right, a lot of tornado action happening. A lot of people going through some shit. So there you have it, tornadoes. That's trending number one. Trump, of course, is trending number two. Trump, everybody's still talking about Trump and all that stuff that went down yesterday. President getting indicted and then arraigned, arrested, and all of that good stuff. Let's see here. 34 counts. See what all that is. 34. That's tough. That's tough. All it takes is one. He could be acquitted on 33 of those. All it takes is one. Hey, Capone had 22 counts. Capone, remember when he got busted? He got busted for, same kind of thing, business malpractice. They had 22 counts on Capone, and he beat all of them but 5. And then, but anyway, not to draw comparisons, but I'm just saying 34 counts. That's a lot. That's a lot of work for the lawyers. And these laws, man, they hang on technicalities and 34 absolutely perfect charges that can be refuted by a defense. I don't know, man. That's a lot. So we'll see. There you go. As far as the gag order, we were worried about the gag order because the judge has the power to say, hey, look, dude, shut up. Stop. You're not allowed to talk about this trial anymore. And that's what Trump's doing. Trump's campaigning. And although that wasn't the concern, the gag order response, which there is no gag order. However, there is a warning for a gag order that was announced by the judge there in the arraignment. He looked Trump right in the face and he said, look, man, look, dude. Keep your mouth shut, or else I'm going to issue a gag order. And then, if you can't keep your mouth shut, you're going to jail. You're going to jail. You can be locked up. You can be put in a prison cell. That's going to be the whole thing. So that's where we are right now as far as a gag order. I don't know. He gave a speech last night. Yeah. I don't know what. I don't know. So now this judge is going to get to decide, when he's heard enough. The judge is suddenly like America's dad. I will turn this trial around and we will go home. Gag order. So here's what we knew. Of those counts, there were some interesting things. For instance, we found out, it's not just Stormy Daniels. Although, isn't it interesting, and I tweeted this last night, 200 years from now, people are going to know the name Stormy Daniels. It's like, and you know how, history gets shit twisted. So in the porn world, Stormy Daniels is not one of the Hall of Famers. So it's not even like a name. She became a big name because she was tied into Donald Trump and all that. But really, she was just she wasn't even, I guess my point is, Trump wasn't even with an A-list porn star. He was with a D-list porn star, Stormy Daniels. And by the time she got famous, she wasn't even making movies, so, But 200 years from now, historians will say, she was the biggest porn star of her era. It's like, no, she wasn't. Nah, you got this. You should meet this Riley Reid girl. She's been the top porn star in the world for 10 years in a row. Tuesday at 1. All right, it just freaked out a little because the sirens are going off. And I'm going to look and I'm like, okay, it's Tuesday at 1 o'clock. So there you go. So that's interesting that Stormy Daniels is now a historical figure. She is in the historic record. We're banging Trump for meeting him at a bar at a golf course. Like a Four Seasons bar or something. He's all sweaty. He's wearing the white shirt. He probably wasn't wearing a MAGA hat back then because that wasn't a thing. But he was wearing a hat. So he's wearing maybe a Callaway golf hat, something like that, and a white shirt. He's all sweaty because he's just been golfing. And then weirdly, Stormy Daniels is there at the bar, and even though it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon, she's wearing a ball gown. She's totally it's 3 o'clock, And then he just takes her up to his room and he does her. I don't know, That's not even being... Is that still being debated? Yes, actually, I think it is still being debated because I saw Giuliani, of all people, going, we don't know that he actually did this. Come on, man. Yeah, we do. We know that he did it. That's the thing. The other day we were talking about emotional intelligence and your ability to read people and be able to believe whether or not something's possible when it's applied to an individual. Do you think it's possible that Donald Trump cheated on Melania when she was pregnant with a porn star? Do you think that's possible? Now, if you can't look at the man and all of the behaviors that he's displayed publicly since about 1979, if you can't look at the man and go, yeah, that's absolutely possible, then you have terrible emotional intelligence. You don't know. You don't know what you're looking at. So, of course, he did it. Of course, they didn't cheat. He cheated. What do we call it cheating? In that world, it's not cheating. Whatever. Of course he did. So, okay. But so what? So, what's not really, we're going to start bringing down every man that's ever cheated because that's a list. But he cheated badly, and then he got caught, and he because he's cheap. He's always trying to figure out what's the angle so I don't have to pay as much. So he did it in a way to shut these people up, these people that he had affairs. And one of the things that we learned is it's not just Stormy Daniels, although she is the name we'll remember 200 years from now. There's also, the Karen McDougal situation. And then there's this doorman. So this doorman in his building had a story and said he had evidence and shared the evidence with the source that Donald Trump has an illegitimate child that he has been secretly paying for, and the doorman apparently knew him. Well, not the kid, but knew the mother because the mother had shown up at Trump Tower. Donald didn't pay this month or whatever. You know what I mean? He's got NBA player issues. He's got the same him and Sean Kemp have like the same kind of daily, which is something he didn't want to get out. So he ended up, so this doorman in his building was going to sell this story. He was shopping it to the highest bidder, and in comes the National Enquirer, and they were the highest bidder. They offered him $30,000 for the story, and they killed it. So that's called a catch and kill, and it was directed by Trump. And the $30,000 that the National Enquirer paid the doorman was actually $30,000 that came from Trump something. I don't know. I don't know enough about it. That's what the trial's going to be for. Let's see all that. But I thought that was interesting. So the money, the kickback money, here's the order. Karen McDougal was paid $150,000. Karen McDougal was a Playmate. Possibly, was Karen McDougal Playmate of the Year? Because if she's Playmate of the Year, she could have got $200,000. That's because, Trump's all about branding. And if you're, Playmate of the Year. Hold on. Was Karen McDougal Playmate of the Year?
Here are the videos I found.
Yeah, 1998 Playmate of the Year, Karen McDougal. Look at that. She could have got 200. She could have gone as high. She, honestly, Playmate of the Year, she could have maybe gotten $250,000 in hush money. That's because that's branding. Playboy, for Trump, his generation, Playboy is where you want to be, baby. You know what I mean? That means a lot to him. All right, so he got her down to Weisselberg, got her down, or Weisselberg and Cohn, whoever. They got her down to 150. So a Playboy Playmate of the Year gets $150 or $150,000 from Trump. Stormy Daniels, a porn star, she only got 130. She's like a D-list porn star. So right there, at some point Trump was like, the Playboy brand, 20 grand more. You know that maybe it wasn't out loud, but that went on in his head. So Playboy, 150 grand, porn star, 130 grand. So we now know the difference that when Trump looks at a Playboy Playmate and a porn star, we know that in his mind, that's $20,000. That's the difference. The doorman with the story about the $30K, 30 grand, that's it. Got 30 grand for that story? Okay, whatever. Well, here's what I think the deal is. I think that the doorman is just a doorman. He's just a guy. He's like, 30K, I'll take that. Like, I don't know that he knew that he could get more. Whereas Karen McDougal, a Playmate of the Year, and Stormy Daniels, porn star, they probably got men in their lives now who are lawyers and shit like that, who know stuff, who, because they're hot girls. And hot girls always have men of certain skill sets around them. Oftentimes attorneys, sometimes plastic surgeons. But you know what I mean? So 150 for Playboy, 130 for porn, and 30,000 K, barely anything. That's couch money for Trump. That's what we learned from the indictments. 30,000 to keep the dude quiet about his bastard child. Mugshot is trending. So this was man, what? Come on. Mugshot. Here's why mugshot is trending. Because they didn't make Trump take a mugshot. Why? Because there's no need. Because to make Trump take a mugshot would have been an unnecessary humiliation at a time when you have to be seen as being as above board as possible as far as, handling the situation. Because that the Trump supporters are going to be finding out, look at what they did. So the other side was trying to play this as fair as possible. And one of the things that DA Bragg decided was that, no, we're not gonna make him take a. Actually, what he said was, he didn't say it like that. What he said was, the purpose of a passport is, or a mugshot, is to be able to distribute the likeness of an individual wanted by police, by authorities. That's not needed in the case of Donald Trump. Everybody knows what he looks like. He can't hide anywhere. Besides, we know where he is because he's with the Secret Service, right? So that's what Bragg said. That's why there was no mugshot. And, before Bragg did that, the Trump people were like, they're going to make him take a mugshot. They're going to humiliate him. The president of the United States is going to have a mugshot. And then Bragg comes out and goes, yeah, no, there's not going to be a mugshot. So then those very same people who were outraged that there was going to be a mugshot then produced a T-shirt, an official Trump this is a Trump campaign merchandise, a Trump T-shirt with a phony mugshot. They pretend they did a Photoshop mugshot. Remember, they didn't want the real one because the real one was humiliation. It just shows the depravity of the left. Remember, that's why no mugshot. That's why they couldn't believe he was going to get a mugshot. Then they said, no, we're not going to do a mugshot. And they went, okay, well, we're gonna make some mugshots. And they've raised like $1.5 million in 24 hours. Just from people going, I'll support that, give them the money, give the money. How do you not see that? How do people not see that? I mean, I understand you're angry. I understand that, fucking shit is fucked up. We all know that. But why can't you see? Don't give any money. Let it play out. Just let it play out. Still want to support them? That's fine. Just let it play out. Don't give any more money. Just put a hold on giving your money unless you got money to give. That's fine. Whatever. Do what you want to do. I'm just saying. I mean, isn't that kind of... I don't like it. There's just an entire affectation from Team Trump regarding this whole situation. And I think that's the best word, affectation. Yeah. Mystery Child is trending on its own, but we've already talked about that. Well, here, let's give you more details on the Mystery Child. Now, people are saying that we knew about this. People are saying, well, that was a story in 2016. Well, it went away. The story went away pretty damn quick in 2016. And now we're learning why. Not certain. That's why people like to defend Trump supporters defending this story. So a lot of the crazies on the people hate Trump. We'll call them Trump haters and Trump lovers. So Trump haters are like, he's got a mystery child, bombshell. Now, that has nothing to do with the illegality of what he's being accused of. But if you're a vengeful dark heart, like a lot of the people that hate Trump are, they just hate him. They just hate. It's just about hate. And some of them, based on their own moral anchors, they have a right to because he conflicts with almost everything they think. And that's fine, whatever. You do you, people. But the Trump haters, got caught in the mouth. The Trump haters are really promoting the idea that he's got a kid. And then the Trump defenders are saying, yeah, but that was a story. There was a blurb and somebody mentioned it years ago and it never got traction. That's the defense. The defense is that it never got traction. The accusation is you buried the story and paid them off so it never got traction. I mean, do you see how ridiculous that is? The defense is... Well, yeah, but we've already known that. We knew about the baby. That was a story, and it never got traction. Well, he's being accused of killing stories. That's why it never got traction. What don't you get about what... That's not a defense. Anyway, I thought that was interesting. So here's the story. 34 charges relate to... I don't really care about... The highly anticipated indictment against Donald Trump can be revealed today. Where's the one about the kid? Catch and kill scheme. In June of 2015, Trump made a deal with AMI National Enquirer boss David Pecker. Statement of facts describe how they met at Trump Tower to discuss Trump's election chances and how the National Enquirer could help. Because, Trump was always good for the National Enquirer. He would phone in stories and, hey, did you hear about this celebrity doing cocaine at a table? Stuff like that. That's what he was. He was a narc. Because in return for that, they would do these crazy stories about how awesome Trump's life was. Trump would spill the beans on somebody doing something bad. And then he'd say, okay, you can print that story. And he'd be like, I've got another story about my new jet. You want to do a story about how cool my jet? And they go, yeah, sure, we will. Sure. And that's kind of the relationship. But anyway, this one story. So David Pecker, the National Enquirer, apparent doorman story. The first scandal that Trump wanted to cover up was in October of 2015 when Dino Sanjudin, a doorman at Trump Tower, tried to sell a story to the press. He claimed Trump had a child out of wedlock and that he could prove it through his access to the child's family. Remember the story that the woman was showing up at Trump Tower going, where's Donald? He needs little, whatever the kid's name was. I have no idea. He needs braces, or whatever the deal was. But that's how this guy apparently came to know the family of Donald Trump's loved child because he's the doorman at Trump Tower and they kept showing up. He claimed Trump had a child out of wedlock and that he could prove it through his access to the family. The story had been reported. AMI paid him $30,000 for the exclusive rights to his story, preventing him from talking about it anymore to any other outlets. So the Daily Mail had reported it when he was first, talking about it. The Daily Mail, the story had been reported by the Daily Mail. Then AMI, the National Enquirer, stepped in and paid him $30,000 to kill the story. So, when people say, oh, that's an old story, it was reported. We're like, yeah, we know, and then it went away. The reason it's not that nobody cared, it's just that the story never got traction. People didn't really it wasn't really something everybody was aware of. And that's the crime. That's defrauding the electorate. Apparently that's illegal. I didn't know that, but apparently it is. It's illegal to intentionally do something that deprives the electorate of information they could otherwise use in making an informed decision. They put bankers in jail for that kind of shit all the time. I mean, they just do. Not that specific shit, but, ticky-tack shit, stuff that seems like to us ticky-tack. Because honestly, I think prisons should only be filled with violent criminals. I think everybody else can be dealt with in different ways. But as far as prisons go, I think, rapists, murderers, molesters, that kind of thing. What else is trending? Melania is trending. Melania is trending because, I don't know. Now, of course, everybody, there's a rift in paradise. Melania is so angry about that. Well, how long is Melania going to be angry? When she was like 7 months pregnant with Barrett, Big Daddy was stepping out with D-list porn stars. How long? She's known about this now. Stormy Daniels' case broke years ago. Apparently, Melania is furious. She wouldn't go to New York with him. Why would she? It's like, oh, okay, all right. Yeah, I'm going to go and stand next to you as the most, it's going to be one of the most photographed moments in history. And I'm going to go stand next to my husband who's walking into a New York court to answer charges that he paid a porn star $130,000 to keep her mouth shut while I was pregnant at home, feeling fat, ugly, and gross. As women sometimes do when pregnant. Yeah, I mean, it's understandable why she didn't make the trip. Although, where was Eric? Where was Yvonne? Nobody. Oh, Eric was there, right? It was Don Jr. that I didn't see. I think I saw Eric there. Fredo. See, the only... No, that's true. That's true. I was going to say, I guess Don Jr. is the only one that's not a blonde. Because, Ivanka... Is Ivanka blonde? Turns out, I don't know what blonde hair is. I don't. I know it's weird. That's a weird thing to admit at this age, but I think I call yellow hair. All yellow hair to me is blonde. Isn't that blonde? Yellow hair? Then I see somebody, or maybe it's that I think people who don't have blonde hair do, and I say, yeah, with blonde hair, and they're like, nah, that dude's got like brownish red hair. I'm like, oh yeah, same dude. Anyway, weird thing. Weird aside. So I don't know what's going on with her, Melania and Donald. We'll see. But she can't be happy, and why would she be? Let's see. Angry or not, an insider told People magazine. So, this is legit. An insider told People magazine over the weekend that Melania will continue to be there for her husband. They weren't expecting the indictment, but Melania will support him. So this is the insider. The insider said, that's what she does. They're a family. Just a normal family, Some 90-year-old indicted creeper and his 45-year-old Eastern European, maybe a handler, I don't know, Eastern European supermodel. They're not a normal family. The way this is presented, they're just a family. No, they're not. There is nothing normal or traditional about the way Donald Trump and Melania came together. Stop it. Stop. There's nothing wrong with it. There is nothing wrong with it. But they're not a traditional family. They're not just like every other family. Stop it. They're an interesting family. They're an accomplished family. They're a powerful family. They ain't a regular family. They ain't just like us. Toronto. Toronto is trending. Dominion Bank. TD Bank. Toronto. Toronto Dominion. We've seen TD. We've heard of Toronto Dominion. Toronto Dominion's about to collapse. Batting the hatches. Here we go. Toronto Dominion Bank is in some trouble, folks. A couple weeks ago, we're waiting for a whole bunch of banks to fail. And a couple of banks fail. We had this. We had the Silicon Valley Bank that collapsed. Then we had Credit Suisse that wasn't allowed to collapse because UBS came in and sucked that up. Then we had a couple of regional banks here in America that folded. We had a bank. Hey, look, say what you will. A couple of weeks ago, we were in the midst of a serious banking crisis. And, we haven't really talked about banks now in a week. So whatever was happening was staved off for the time being. Enter TD Bank in Toronto. TD Bank in Toronto is, they're having some problems here. And they're really big, too. They're like the second biggest bank in all of Canada. They're overextended is basically the problem. I don't know enough about this stuff to give you any kind of a real take, but here's what they're saying. Turns out the biggest short in the banking industry anywhere in the world isn't in Switzerland or Silicon Valley, but rather in the relatively tame financial center of Canada. In recent weeks, short sellers have upped their bearish bets against Toronto's Dominion Bank and now have roughly $3.7 billion on the line vis-a-vis Canada's second largest lender. This according to an analyst at S3 Partners, the most among financial institutions globally, and puts TD ahead of the likes of France's BNP, Paribas SA, and Bank of America as far as current debt. So I don't know what this means. If that means anything to you, I suggest you go learn about or read up about TD Bank in Toronto. I don't know. I don't get that stuff. And it bores me, but I know it's important. So if you hear somebody talking about the banking crisis, you go, yeah, the bank in Toronto, credit's crashing. That's all you need to know. And see, I just provided that for you. Brandon Johnson is trending. Brandon Johnson is trending with the city of Chicago because he is the new mayor of the city of Chicago. Ladies and gentlemen, saw a thing this morning. I'm a Chicagoan. Saw a thing this morning. They're like, Brandon Johnson is the fourth black mayor in Chicago history. And I'm like, fourth? We had Lori, we had Harold, of course. We had Harold, we had Lori, and now we got him. It's three. Eugene Sawyer. Forgot about Eugene Sleepy Sawyer. Eugene Sawyer was mayor for he had a cup of coffee. So yeah, okay. So America's black capital. Yeah, it is. Don't. I won't get into it, but yeah. So okay. So now we got a new mayor. We got Brandy B. Paul Vallis. I didn't really have a horse in this race as I don't live there, but as somebody who's from Chicago, I've been watching this race. Lori Lightfoot is gone. The first mayor in 50 years in Chicago. First mayor in 50 years to only do one term. Chicago has project mayors. We elect it. First of all, we have a strong mayor system, which means that when you become the mayor of Chicago, you are literally like the king of your little kingdom. The council plays second fiddle to you. You're like, no. It's a strong mayor system, and we like it. Here's my fear about Brandon Johnson. Brandon Johnson ran against Paul Vallis. Paul Vallis, former school board president. Paul Vallis is I look at Paul Vallis and I went, same old. This guy is just a corporate stooge. Brandon Johnson is, he's a rabble rouser. He's a teacher. He's a union activist. He's a teacher's union representative. I don't know. So we'll see. Here's my fear. Here's my fear about Chicago, my hometown. Big cities, big major cities that do big major things. New York, Chicago, Los Angeles, San Francisco. I would include Dallas and Houston, but they don't have strong mayor systems, so it doesn't apply. But those cities that I just mentioned do. They have strong mayor systems. Those big cities that do big projects, they can't be changing over every 4 years. They can't. That's how shitty. That's how Detroit happens. I'm sorry, but it's true. That's how Detroit happens. You can't. And I fear that with Lori Lightfoot in Chicago being mayor for 4 years, and then this guy Brandon Johnson, what if he's just mayor for 4 years? Are we now in Chicago for the first time in my lifetime going to enter into a period where there is zero executive stability? That this city is just every 4 years going to be looted by whatever small-time machine politicians, and I'm talking about newfangled machines. I'm not talking about the old school machine. I'm talking about these new ones that only last 4 years, rape the bank accounts of the city. A bunch of them will go to jail, like in Detroit. I mean, that's what I fear. That's what I fear. So when people say, how do you feel about Brandon Johnson being elected mayor of Chicago? I say, I hope he is wildly successful. Because if he is wildly successful, then we won't have a new mayor every 4 years and become Detroit, which is quite frightening. All right, Brandon Johnson, congratulations. Brandon Johnson, mayor of Chicago, you're on the clock. Wisconsin is trending. Wisconsin is trending because Wisconsin also had elections last night. Wisconsin had a big Supreme Court election. Why is it a big Supreme Court election in Wisconsin? Well, here's why. Because Wisconsin is a truly purple state. Wisconsin goes back and forth. Wisconsin is sometimes votes Republican, it sometimes votes blue. Currently, it seems to be in a bit of a blue swing, as evidenced by last night's vote. But Wisconsin has a rural population that, is like any rural population. And they're all about this abortion thing. Now, the Supreme Court vote in Wisconsin was incredibly important because the balance of the Supreme Court in the state of Wisconsin was up for grabs, right? So the left won. So the progressives won in Wisconsin on the Supreme Court. They now have a 5-4 progressive Wade court in Wisconsin. And that essentially ensures that, abortion is going to be kept legal in Wisconsin. So a lot of people in that part of the world, I don't know, Wisconsin, even if it was illegal, they're going to keep it legal in Illinois. You just cross the border. So, but whatever, it's a victory for the left. It's a victory for women's rights in Wisconsin, all of that stuff. Again, for anybody that's there, go, no, lefty pugs. Just me saying it, that it's a victory for the left, it doesn't mean that I'm going, oh, yeah, I'm just stating a fact. It's a victory for the left. You're always so liberal lately. I'm like, I'm not. Actually, I'm way less liberal lately than I've ever been before. But, okay. I'm just a guy, man. I'm a paper bag blowing on the street in a windy day. Sometimes I'm on this side of the street, sometimes I'm on that side of the street. Depends. I mean, I'm never like in the other people's yard. I don't ever go too far right or too far. I'm in the street. I'm blowing from side to side. I'm right down the moderate middle of Main Street, USA. Bob Lee is trending. You guys know who Bob Lee is? I didn't know who he was. I know who Bobby Lee is. I love Bobby Lee. Bobby Lee's a comedian. He's got Tiger Lily pumpkin face. I don't know what it is, but he's got some podcast on YouTube that's really good. Bobby Lee. Bob Lee is the guy credited as being the founder of Cash App. Bob Lee was like brutally stabbed to death last night in San Francisco. There aren't very many details about what happened, but apparently it happened at night, happened on the street, and it was done with a knife. So here you go. You got it. 42 years old. Is that what it said? I think it said 42. Cash App founder and tech executive Bob Lee was brutally stabbed to death in a horrific knife attack last night in San Francisco. So there you have it. That's rough. You know what, guys? Let me get a drink here. I'm going to take a quick little break. Honestly, it's going to be less than 20 seconds. I just got to walk over to the other side of the room. Although I am hobbled with my ankle and whatnot, it still won't take that long. Because I want to get into something fun next. I want to get into a subject that I think is near and dear to my heart. And that is, of course, an opportunity to yet again eviscerate CNN's Don Lemon. We're going to do that when I come back. Hold on. Oh, don't get me started on Don Lemon, boy. Don Lemon. What's that guy's deal? Checking all the boxes. Don Lemon is. And good for him. But I don't know. I've always looked at Don Lemon and went, that dude's an a-hole. As it turns out, I might be right. Probably am. Don Lemon's getting told on. Oh, big time. Don Lemon, Don Lemon is the big rising star at CNN for reasons that I can't comprehend, but he is. He is. He was, he was like a weekend guy. Don Lemon was on weekends. And then all of a sudden he's got 2 hours in primetime Monday through Friday. I don't know what's going on there. Anyway, Don Lemon, boom, he was big superstar at CNN. When the new guy came into CNN, he was like, we're going to reshape the station and they took Don Lemon off nights and they put him in mornings. Like, we're going to have this crazy morning show. And all Don Lemon has been doing in the new CNN morning show since its inception is just fucking breaking shit. I mean, he's just being a dick. He's being a dick to people. I've always seen this in Don Lemon. He's always come across as disingenuous, checking all the boxes, like whatever it is, whatever it is that he needs to be. This is a personal story. Everything is a little much. Don Lemon's a little much for me. Now, just to show you that I can be even-handed here. You know who I really love, and I've loved for 20 years, and you don't really hear him getting dragged all that much because I think most people go, yeah, that guy's kind of okay. He's fine. Anderson Cooper. I love Anderson Cooper. Yeah, I do. I think he's great. Okay, that might be overstating it a little. What I mean is, I can sit and I can watch Anderson Cooper, and I can be like, I feel like I'm getting an approximation of truth. Not full truth. We're never going to get full, but I feel like Anderson Cooper is not Don Lemon. I look at Don Lemon. And by the way, there's a whole bunch about Anderson Cooper that I should not trust him. The fact that he's a Vanderbilt, the fact that he grew up ridiculously wealthy, privileged, educated at all the best schools, and had every professional advantage early in his career that anyone could hope for. He had all those things. So all those things, I should dislike Anderson Cooper. But over the years, I'm like, hey, he seems fine. He seems like an all right dude. And I can't say the same about Don Lemon. From the very first time I laid eyes on Don Lemon used to be a local Chicago news guy. He came to CNN from Chicago. I didn't like him then. Thought he was weird. I didn't trust him. I was like, here's what Don Lemon always struck me as. Don Lemon has always struck me as a guy who wanted to be a movie star. He wanted to be an actor. He wanted to be a movie. He was a theater kid, but he thought that was probably too hard, going out on auditions. So what he did was, because ultimately he just wanted to be famous and he wanted to be on TV. So then he went, well, you know what? If I can't do acting and be a movie star or TV star, then I'm just going to be a TV star as a news person. And that's kind of the vibe I've gotten from him. That he's not a legit news guy. That he's just there because he likes being on TV, and he likes when he walks down the street, people go, that's Don Lemon. It's that thing. And I get that. That's fun. I enjoyed a very small taste of that on the local level in Chicago and here, and I get it. It's intoxicating. But I don't know. I don't want you to be the arbiter of truth for the nation and America, or the globe's news leader, which CNN still bills itself as. I don't need that guy on that station. I just don't like Don Lemon. So Variety magazine, and this is why it's important, because this isn't the Globe. This isn't like the Daily Mail is doing a scathing takedown of Don Lemon. No, Variety. Variety is legit in the industry. Variety is not going to print lies and then subject themselves to, all kinds of law. Variety knows what they're doing, okay? When Variety writes a story, because it is an industry magazine. When Variety writes a story on somebody, it's seen by everybody in the industry and it's accepted as gospel, and Variety has earned that through 40 years of doing pretty much accurate reporting on all things as it pertains to media and television and movies and all that. So Variety is legit. Scathing takedown in Variety. People who used to work with Don Lemon are now talking about it. And when I say people who used to work with Don Lemon, I'm talking about people who are names, like news people who you know. All right, so first of all, here's a couple of examples, and I suggest you read it today. If you really just want to get your hate on for Don Lemon and just kind of go, yeah, I knew he was a douche. Here are some examples. Kira Phillips. CNN's Kira Phillips. Lovely Kira Phillips. Love Kira Phillips. Kira Phillips, when Don Lemon first came to CNN, she was teamed with him. They were doing like a mid-morning show. And it was Kira Phillips and Don Lemon. Let's see here. They never got along, and here's a little bite. So they did nothing but fight. His antipathy towards Phillips, Don Lemon, his antipathy towards Phillips was particularly concerning and had many members of the close-knit Atlanta news team at CNN on edge. While Phillips was on assignment in Iraq, a high-profile gig that Lemon coveted, he vented his disappointment at being passed over by tearing up pictures and notes on the top and in the inside of Kira Phillips' desk in the news pod that they shared. He destroyed, because she got the Iraq war assignment, he destroyed her desk. He tore everything up. We're not talking about putting a man in jail. We're talking about, me validating my long-held belief that the guy's an asshole. That's like an asshole guy you work with thing to do. Okay. At a high-profile gig, he vented his disappointment at being passed over by tearing up pictures and notes on top of and inside Phillips' desk in the news pod they shared, according to two sources who worked there at the time. When she, Kira Phillips, returned from Iraq, things only got weirder. One night while dining with members of the news team, she received the first of two threatening text messages from an unknown number on her flip phone that warned, "Now you've crossed the line and you're going to pay for it." Phillips was visibly rattled and quickly enlisted CNN's higher-ups to identify the sender. Remarkably, the texts were traced back to Don Lemon. We never heard about this at the time. This is Kira Phillips herself telling this story. This is not like some anonymous source. This is a high-profile television news person who worked with this guy telling the story about what it's like to work with this guy. She's on the record. You either believe her or you don't. But it's not like there's any way to go, well, an unnamed source says. No, this is Kira Phillips actually telling the story about the time that Don Lemon went to a burner phone and started texting her threatening messages. What? According to those same sources, a human resources investigation was launched. And while the findings were never disclosed to the growing pool of staffers who were aware of the situation, Lemon was although the findings were never disclosed to the newsroom and they were kept secret, Lemon was abruptly pulled from his co-anchor duties with Phillips and moved to the weekends. It was a demotion by any objective measure and understood to be some kind of disciplinary action. So that was never brought up. They kept that internal. Don Lemon is sending threatening email. Now you've really crossed the line and you're going to pay for it. You're sending that to a coworker? Somebody you sit next to and welcome to CNN. Kira, how are you today? I'm fine, Don. You want to answer some questions about that text message I got at dinner? You know what I mean? What the fuck? He's crazy. Another thing from there. He's just a shameless asshole. He's just a lying, social climbing, shameless asshole. Another thing that has always been obvious to me. Those who worked with Don Lemon say he was a shameless name dropper and left behind hints that he socialized with important people, like a handwritten note from Stedman Graham that he had taped to his computer. Some were unnerved by his talk of his previous lawsuits, believing it signaled that he was litigious. Don Lemon frequently let drop that he successfully sued Tower Records as well as the Chicago Police Department for racially profiling, and he didn't need to worry about money thanks to the settlements in both cases. Here's a note from Variety. Variety can only find record of the former, which was settled in 2001 and appears to be sealed. That's the situation with Tower Records. Through a CNN spokesperson, Lemon says that he never actually sued the Chicago Police Department. All the while this was going on, Lemon began openly dating a fresh out-of-college staffer despite a major age difference and power imbalance. So he started openly dating and banging an intern who was like 21 and he was 50. And he's just parading around the newsroom with, what? And he'd get away with it because he's a black man and he's gay. They need him. He checks a lot of boxes. And he's able to get away with whatever he wants. And we are now seeing evidence of that. Jeez. They get rid of him for parading his 21-year-old boy toy intern around the newsroom, and he's going to go on another network and he's going to say they fired me because they were uncomfortable that I was gay. Yeah, or something like that. Don Lemon's just an asshole. You know, I'm not saying that other people don't have, the right to complain that they were fired because they were gay, because I don't know what the context of their situation is. I'm just saying that Don Lemon is obviously a dickhead. And he's, All right, let's see here. All the while, he began openly dating a fresh-out-of-college staffer despite a major age difference and power imbalance. Lemon was in his mid-40s while the staffer was 22 years old. The ambitious anchor, who is gay, was not out of the closet at the time, but he wasn't hiding it either. The pair would drive to work together in Lemon's car and began a long-term open relationship. Dating a junior employee was frowned upon at the time at CNN, but nothing was ever done. Here's a quote now. As fast as you could make a rule, Don would bend it, says one senior former CNN executive. Bend it because he had everything. Okay, you're going to fire the one black man you have on your station. It was like that kind of a thing. You're not going to fire the one gay guy. You're not going to fire. I checked 2 boxes for you people. It's like he had that kind of power. And he used it. And I'm not surprised. Nancy Grace talking some shit on Don Lemon. You wondering what Nancy Grace has to say? They work together. They didn't get along. He was mean to her, apparently. Nancy Grace. More troubling was his misogynistic behavior. Multiple sources say Lemon called one of his producers fat to her face. Okay, that's a dick move. That's a real dick move. But, whatever. I mean, Russ Martin has done worse. Not long before he was fingered for sending threatening texts to Phillips, he mocked Nancy Grace on the air by mimicking her. This act shocked fellow colleagues. Grace declined comment, but a person close to her tells Variety that, quote, she thinks Don Lemon is an ass, and that he was always rude, dismissive, and really unfamiliar with the news content being discussed. So there you have it. Nancy Grace would not directly comment, but through a spokesperson, Nancy Grace says of Don Lemon, he's an ass, and that he's always rude, dismissive, and he's really unfamiliar with the news content being discussed. That's Nancy Grace on Don Lemon. How about Soledad O'Brien? Remember Soledad O'Brien? I used to love Soledad O'Brien. Oh, she hates Don Lemon. She can't stand him. Because she checked a lot of boxes too. And apparently Soledad O'Brien wasn't, she wasn't really leveraging her ethnicity or her, whatever, the way Don was. But Don saw her as a threat. Yeah. Oh, this Variety article's great. Don saw Soledad O'Brien as a threat. Didn't like her being around. If Lemon felt threatened by Grace, the biggest star at CNN headline news at the time, she wasn't the only one. He was also upset that Soledad O'Brien landed the gig of hosting CNN's high-profile Black in America docuseries, which launched in 2008. Don didn't like that. Don didn't like that, Soledad O'Brien was hosting Black in America. He said, you know what? In all fairness, all right. According to 2 witnesses who found, you know what he's going to say. You know who Soledad O'Brien is. You know what Don Lemon said and got in trouble for at the time, but we never heard about. Okay. He was jealous that O'Brien had landed the gig of hosting CNN's high-profile Black in America docuseries, which launched in 2008. During an editorial call attended by roughly 30 staffers, Don Lemon suggested that O'Brien wasn't black. This, according to 2 witnesses who found the characterization wildly offensive. Don always wanted to be front and center on anything high profile, especially anything involving race, says a colleague. O'Brien, Soledad O'Brien, who wasn't present during the call, tells Variety, so this is Soledad O'Brien, she wasn't present when Don Lemon said, I don't think Soledad's black. She wasn't present for that. But she was asked by Variety about it, and here's what she says. O'Brien, who wasn't present, tells Variety, Don has long had a habit of saying idiotic and inaccurate things, so it sounds pretty on brand for him. Soledad O'Brien, Nancy Grace, Kira Phillips, all taking down. And also, there is another person that's mentioned in the article who they don't name, who says that she used to host with. I'm pretty sure it's Brooke Baldwin. She doesn't work there anymore, and Don's powerful, and I think that she might want to continue a career in media, and she's thinking, I can't go on record and talk shit about Don Lemon, because if this doesn't hurt him, he's just going to go on and keep being powerful and unchecked and all that stuff, and maybe I'm going to want to call him sometime for a job. But that's who I think it's Brooke Baldwin, who is also in this article, and they're saying, former colleague, blah, blah, blah. Also, he's just a diva. He's just a diva the way Don Lemon carries himself. When he wasn't shocking his cohorts, he was annoying them with diva-like behavior, says one. Like skipping editorial calls, showing up late to newsroom meetings, or just generally exhibiting disengaged behavior. In 2009, CNN was allowed to send one journalist into the Staples Center to cover the Michael Jackson Memorial. Lemon was the choice, while Anderson Cooper and Soledad O'Brien anchored outside. Sources remember Lemon complaining on social media that Cooper got more airtime. That led to a come-to-Jesus moment, says another senior executive from the era. Don was told, look, you've got to address your behavior. Your performance as a reporter is great. It's your behavior that's got to improve. It's what's going to derail you if you're not careful. All right, so that was 2009, where the executive told him that. Don Lemon is bigger today than ever before, and who knows if he has curtailed his behavior, because just recently, he did that whole thing about Nikki Haley's too old, and she's a 52-year-old woman, so every woman in America hates Don Lemon now. And me. Every woman in America and me. Crazy takedown article by Variety. And I wouldn't spend that much time on an article like that if it had come from a source less than Variety. But Variety is a legit source for these kinds of reporting. Muscle cars, ladies and gentlemen. Do you like muscle cars? I like muscle cars. Muscle cars are dead, never coming back. But there's a whole bunch of them that might be around in the next couple of years. They're just going to be electric. Do you want an electric muscle car? End of the gas engine Camaro opens a new door for muscle cars. Muscle cars are pony cars. Like, is Mustang the first? Yeah, Ford introduced the Mustang first, and then Chevy, to compete with the Mustang, introduced the Camaro around about 66, and then Dodge. You got your Dodge Chargers and your Dodge Challenger. Those are pony cars, but muscle cars. They make great muscle cars. I don't know. Look, I have no problem whatsoever with electric cars. I think they might be better in every conceivable way. I think they save us money. Don't argue minutiae with me about, but you burn coal to power. Shut up. Okay, stop it. Sure, so we're still doing that, but, whatever. I don't want to have this argument. My whole point is, they're cool. They're like little spaceships. And if you can make one look like a 72 Charger, all right, cool. And if you can make it perform, and apparently they're really performance and range. Really, those are the things I think that we need better performance out of electric cars. Although I think that's Teslas certainly have tremendous 0 to 60s. So as far as that goes, that's pretty good. And then range, right? We need the car to go more than 200 miles before we need to charge it. We need to be able to take the car cross country. Not necessarily in one shot, but you know what I mean? You should be able, if you can drive, as soon as we can drive our electric car the exact same distance that we could drive on a tank of gas, okay, then we're going to truly cross over. But we're not there yet. And then the next step is as soon as we can continue on our journey in the same amount of time that it takes us to gas up our car, you stop at a gas station, you gas up, that's 5 minutes, and you're on your way. Charging your electric cars could take a little longer than 5 minutes. So, we got to get that. We got to supercharge. We got to be able to supercharge our... Yeah, anyway, I'm looking forward to electric muscle cars. I'm just looking forward to whatever is coming forward as far as tech goes and all that stuff. Cars, I mean. And I don't know anything about cars. Here's the kind of car guy I am. I don't give a shit about the hood. I don't care how fast it goes. I want it to look cool. If it looks cool, that's a cool looking, you know what I mean? That's what I like. I like cool looking cars. I don't know dick about them. All right, here's another one. We'll end with this. We're out of time. Although we might have a little bit of extra time. Let's see. Let's hang out. I mean, I just refilled my whole soda before that Don Lemon rant. Yeah, charging stations. I mean, I'm obsessed with. Leslie says they need more charging stations. Yeah, I've seen what they've done. Jeff Ballard says, "Have you seen the electric Mustang?" The SUV. I don't like the new Mustang. Look, they shit the bed with the Mustang. They turned it into an SUV. I don't know what they're thinking there. But there are some really cool electric cars out there. They're probably all hunks of junk, Like there's this. Have you seen these Lumens? These Lumen electric cars? Oh, they're so cool. They are so cool. They have they have a thing on the hood, like a light that goes. It's so cool. It's cool. Probably going to be made illegal for some reason. I don't know. I imagine before I die, I'll own an electric car. I don't know if my next car will be electric. We'll see where we are, But, I mean, if I were to get rich, and you could have like two cars, one of them, I'd probably, again, I'm rich. So my two cars, it's not like I'm going to have a Chevy and a Corvette. No, I'm rich. So I'm going to have a Ferrari and a Tesla. I'd get a Tesla. But I don't envision, if I'm just a working guy, I don't envision an electric car. I'm 2 cars away from electric, I think. I think that's where I am, economically and in my life. But those 2 cars away, maybe it'll be a muscle car. Maybe it'll be like an electric Camaro. I could do that. 75 is when you're supposed to buy a Camaro. At least that's how I see it. All right, so this is a new report that is health and medical. Where does this come from? It's a new Johns Hopkins University. All right, so important people there at Johns Hopkins. The new study returned results that are going to be interesting to a lot of old people. This new study says that if you're old and you want to live, you really want to live a longer time, you want to be around for a while, you got grandkids and you're old. First of all, this is bad news for my mom. This is real bad news for my mom. Prepare yourself, Mom. Because a new study says that if you're old and retired and you want to live longer, you need to live in a cold climate. People, they did this study, all these things. Old people in cold climates have half the problems that people in Florida have. People in Florida have all kinds of infections. It's humid, it's hot, their bodies become petri dishes. They start developing. But it's lovely down there. Yeah, but you're going to be dead 10 years sooner than if you lived in the North Woods of Minnesota. Those people up there, it's like a piece of meat. You're a piece of meat. Dude, you are, okay, so old people, you're a steak. You're a piece of steak, okay? And you're not wrapped or anything. So where do you think you're going to be preserved better as that piece of steak? On the counter, 105 degrees with 90% humidity for, the last 10 years of your life? Or, thrown on a pile of snow. What's better for that meat? Because that's what you are. You're meat. That's kind of what the study is saying. So old people, you're going the wrong way. You old people that are heading to Florida and heading to Arizona, if you truly want to live longer, you need to be heading up to upper Wisconsin and Minnesota. Those people are going to outlive you because they don't get sick. Because diseases die and stuff in colder weather. They don't, you know what I mean? I don't even know what I mean. I'm just saying endless shit that kind of makes sense to me in the moment. That's where we are. Florida is a popular retirement spot because of its warm temperatures and sizzling beaches if you're looking to live for many years after retirement. However, scientists recommend looking for a more frigid area in the north. New research finds that moderately cold to cold temperature climates increase a person's longevity and decrease susceptibility to age-related diseases. This is because the cold prevents proteins from clumping together. Meat. This is why we put meat in the freezer. This is why we don't just grab a steak and we throw it in the fridge for 3 weeks. It'll go bad. Why? Because proteins. Just said it right here in the article. Proteins are happening. The findings arose using a non-vertebrate model organism. Okay, so they did this on like some made-up creature that they built in a lab. The findings arose from using a non-vertebrate model organism. So no bones. I mean, it's just a blob. So they made a blob and they called it life. And like, that's kind of like an old person, right? It's just going to sit there. Maybe that's what they were thinking. The findings arose from using a non-vertebrate model organism, the nematode, and cultivated human cells. Both carried genes for oh God, seriously, all these words. All right, so basically the warm weather developed Huntington's disease and ALS, amyotrophic lateral sclerosis. And the exact same cells in slightly different weather conditions didn't get Huntington's disease. And they were able to track it. And they said, well, it's because the warm weather allowed the proteins to bond together. And then all of a sudden, you got a whole party going on inside your cellular, at a cellular level. They're throwing a party, a cancer party or whatever. And then all of a sudden you got Huntington's disease. That didn't happen. That didn't happen for the Minnesota blob. The blob that was like, you're going to Minnesota? Sorry, Mom. My mom wants to get out of the cold weather so badly. But you're not allowed. When German researchers exposed both models to cold weather, the low temperatures actually removed protein clumps and stopped the buildup of protein clusters. So they had these protein clusters and they took it from the hot temperatures, all right, the blob in Florida. They moved the blob in Florida that was developing these things and they moved it over by the blob in Minnesota. And what they noticed was that the things that the blob was developing in Florida, the Huntington's disease, the ALS, not only was it going away, but it wasn't developing any new stuff either. It was fine. It was better. It was healthy. I don't know what any of this means. I don't know what any of this means. I'm an incredibly dumb person when it comes to these things. All right, that's going to be it. That's all we've got as far as stuff that's prepared for today. So let's take a look at what's happening. You know what, we're going to do this. Here's what we're going to look at. We're going to look at Google Trends. Oh, for crying out loud. Why does this happen all the time? Oh, for the love of... Google Trends. I'm tired of looking at Twitter.
According to Wikipedia, Google Trends.
Shut up. All right, let's see what everybody's talking about. Although now I almost feel like I have to look at Twitter. Hey, Carlos Santana is trending. Oh, come on. Oh, good. It's the baseball player Carlos Santana doing a baseball player thing. I'm concerned that it was rock and rolly Carlos Santana. And he was rushed to a hospital. We don't want that. We don't need that nonsense. There's nothing. All right. Let's look at Google Trends. Trending now. Here we go. Real-time searches. Oh, my God. All right, so Google Trends sucks right now, too, because baseball's going on, and it's all baseball. It's all baseball fans tweeting and writing and Google searching baseball-related stuff. Baseball. Okay, yeah, never mind. All right, we're not going to... Stabbing, here's more on the Cash App stabbing. Tech executive founder of Cash App is killed in stabbing in San Francisco. We already talked about that. Okay, that's going to do it. All right, folks, we're out of time for today. Join us tonight for Pugs and Parker, where we'll be speaking with, one of the founding fathers, one of the true, like the George Washington of Live 105.3. We're using the the 9 o'clock show, Pugs and Parker, to interview people from our past, people who were important to the development and were there at 105.3, all as a part of our documentary, Who Killed Live 105.3, coming to the Radio Misfits Podcast Network very soon. Oh, this is going to be too loud. It is. Nope. That's not the one we want. Here's the one we want. All right, I was distracted. Tonight at 9 o'clock, Pugs and Parker with E. Reed Reeker, original general manager, founder, guy with the ideas. The reason Live 105.3 was ever a thing. Reed Reeker joins us tonight to tell us the true origin story of the flip from country and what the thinking was, and why they went and hired, what it was like hiring Russ, all of that stuff. Howard Stern negotiating with him. We've got Reed Reeker tonight at 9 o'clock on Pugs and Parker. Tip the show if you can. Appreciate that. It's going to be a really bad month. This is a pretty crucial month, so if you could help out, that'd be wonderful. Thank you so much. Venmo, Cash App, even PayPal if we must, but, you know. A multi-answer test. Trying to think if there's anything else we need to touch on. No, you're awesome, Al. You, sir, are awesome. I love you, Cheryl. I love you, Ross. I love you, Jeff, Leslie. Oh, I got something here. Yeah, so, Leslie, we were talking about electric cars, and she says they need more charging stations for electric cars. So, electric vehicle and the electric vehicle revolution. It's something that I look at and I think like, okay, so that's going to be a new thing, right? Like there's like, look, what things in 25 years, what things are going to be everyday accepted things that don't exist today? And it's all due to us now having electric cars. Electric charging stations is one of them. So what are electric charging stations going to be? Are we just going to flip over current gas stations? Like, are gas stations now going to, or is there going to be a whole new concept for what a charging station is? You know, I mean, I wonder, that's a fascinating subject. And are we going to need, like, do you go into, like, say you got some money you want to invest, and you're like, charging stations. Or are the charging stations going to be in the home? You know what I mean? Is it going to be that ubiquitous where you can, where your car will charge every night? You'll have the home charging, that's for sure. I don't know. But there's going to be money to be made. Whoever invents, like, you're a traveler. Okay, let me put it to you this way. So this is how it sits right now. Let's say you got an electric car, you only get about 300 miles. You can only get about 300 miles away. You and the family, you want to go on a trip, and the trip is like 900 miles away. So you're going to have to stop at least 3 times with the 300-mile range. So when you stop, let's say, I don't know how long it takes, but I've heard it could take quite a bit of time. So what are you going to do? It can't just be like a gas station where it takes 5 minutes to fill up your tank, or maybe you get a slushie and you stand around, you do the the windshield, you clean them, you check the oil maybe, and then by that time, you're done, you're full tank, you drive on. It can't be like that. It's going to be longer. So what will it look like when people have to stand around for, let's say, an hour to charge their car in between, continuing their journey? What's that going to look like for that hour? They're not just going to stand there. There's a way to make money off these people standing around, so what are we going to do? Are there going to be beds? An hour. You can catch a nap for an hour. Is there going to be like, now do we invent something where, like, in Japan they have the cabinets? So if it's taking an hour to charge your car and you're driving cross country, you can rent one of those Japanese businessman cabinets and sleep for an hour. There's a business. See, like, is that going to happen? What's the world going to look like in 25 years? Ask any old head, man. They'll tell you that what I'm telling you right now isn't all that crazy because they look back on the world that they grew up in and it's totally different looking now. People walking around, talking. Anyway, my point is, there's got to be a way for all of us to make money on this. If we could just come up with an idea collectively. Or if I come up with one without you, I'll just do it on my own. But if you guys got a good one, share it. Far from the comfort nest. Ross says they need to make hand cranks in the back seat so the kids can keep the car moving. All right. I think you're being silly, Ross. That'll never work. Leslie says the Buc-ee's in Temple has a whole row of superchargers. So what's the length of a supercharger? Like how long does it take to charge? If my battery's almost dead because I'm in Temple and I've just driven in from Little Rock or wherever, and my battery's dead. When you say I'm using a supercharger, how long is that supercharger going to take? See, this is what I don't know. If it takes significantly longer than the 5 minutes it takes you to gas up your car, then there's a business there. There's a business to preoccupy the people who are waiting for their shit. I don't know what it is. I'm thinking they might want to take a nap. Just go in some air-conditioned cabinet and just lay down. Maybe you put a flat screen in there. They can watch a movie, listen to music, whatever. Charge them like $20 an hour to sleep in there. And then, yes, okay, so hey, tech guys, I need smart guys. So here's how the cabinets work. So you pull the cabinets out, right? And you climb in, and you lay down like a coffin, and then it goes automatic. You hit a button, and it goes, and it brings you in. Now, I think on the back, there's going to be like some kind of release, like if you panic and you get stuck in there, there's going to be something that you can manually pop out, okay? I'm already thinking about that. So you're in there, you're sleeping, maybe you got a little flat screen on the roof. You're laying there, you're watching, you relax, it's air conditioned, it's nice, man. Because you've been driving across the state of Arizona. It's 110 degrees out. So you're in this box now in the middle of like nowhere. You're watching a little TV. You're waiting on your car to charge. All right, so what happens when you're done, right? Because we can't just let everybody in there. There's going to be people shitting their pants. It's going to be like gross. It's going to be, you can't just, the great unwashed. We're not known as that for nothing. So then when the dude leaves, here's what happens. The minute it's done, I think it self-cleans. I think it goes like, shh. I think like suds and disinfectants and fill it and all that. So we're going to need some plumbing. We're going to need some there's a lot of work for you smart guys. But, I'm the Steve Jobs on this one. I got the idea. You make it real. I don't know how it works, but I got the idea. 30 minutes to an hour. Leslie says she's not sure how long the supercharger. See, but still, 30 minutes. We still got to do something. There is an opportunity. You have a captive audience for 30 minutes who can't go anywhere. What are you going to offer them to separate them from their hard-earned cross-country traveler dollars? You said it, Leslie. Buc-ee's. I will follow the lead of Buc-ee's in this area because nobody knows how to dazzle a cross-country driver quite like a Buc-ee's. Now, I know people, my friends in Chicago, my friends out of the market, maybe you don't know what Buc-ee's are because I didn't really know what Buc-ee's were until I lived here in Texas. Imagine, and don't even come at me with you, but Travel Americas are nice. No, they're not. I will drive an extra 100 miles out of my way if all I'm faced with are Travel America truck stops or Buc-ee's. There's a Buc-ee's, man. You drive to a Buc-ee's, those people know. They got, the Buc-ee's Great Wall of Jerky is a thing to behold. They have this wall. It's a truck stop the size of a Walmart. It's got everything. And got world-class barbecue. You can't get good barbecue at You've never had barbecue at Buc-ee's. Yeah, you can. They got a full smoke grill going. Oh, it's amazing. Buc-ee's. So whatever Buc-ee's decides to do with the whole electric vehicle, I say we follow them because they've got that game down. Note to self. Call Buc-ee's and pitch the sleeper cabinets that self-clean. They'll back that. Buc-ee's, I could convince Buc-ee's of that. They'd have to be pretty sizable, though, right? Because the depictions of these things that I've seen have always been for Japanese business travelers, the cabinets that they sleep in. The Japanese are, well, I'll tell you what, without disparaging the Japanese in any way, shape, or form, let me just say this about us. We're big, giant, and fat over here. So the cabinets are going to have to be significantly bigger, which absolutely rules us being able to, call a Japanese producer of these things and saying, hey, can we get some? Because they're making them small. We need our own thing. I'll have updates on this idea. This is a real idea. I know, it's a real idea, but guys, where are we on Meth Wolf, right? Meth Wolf and Crackoon. We're making all these Cocaine Bear spinoffs. You people were supposed to have spec scripts in my inbox weeks ago, and I've seen nothing. Meth Wolf, a companion to Cocaine Bear, and Crackoon, a raccoon that gets into crack cocaine. Those are hits. Do we do those first? Do we use the profits from that to create our electric charging station sleeper coffins? I probably shouldn't call them coffins. That's not good. Sleeper, I don't know. Chill zones. Chill zones. They're chill zones. And they don't have to be beds. They can be recliners. They can be a box. You can just sit in a recliner and an air conditioning and watch a TV comfortably by yourself for 20 minutes. That's the idea. Fuck the sleeping. It's just let them chill out. Just let them relax. They can sleep in the chair if they want to. God, I have such great ideas. And none of these ideas will ever come to fruition. But they should. I love you guys. We'll see you tonight at 9. Pugs and Parker with Reed Reeker here on the Radio Misfits podcast platform.